All right, so I already felt as though this is one of the best adaptations we've gotten of this character. This finale has brought so much it's brought an expectation, It's this is Superman. This is how you tell a Superman story. This is how you close out a Superman story. First off, I want to say welcome back. Hello. Thank you for coming to the channel. Make sure you're liking, doing what you can, helping us out. But dude, like this is a great finale in my opinion. And I know some people might have their own opinions and might not feel the same way, but to be able to see the story conclude and in a sense where we get to see how their life kind of finalized is a beautiful thing to me because it's something that we don't normally get to see. We, on top of ending on a really happy note, yeah, to see their deaths, it's dark, it's sad, but it's a beautiful thing. To know that they got to live out their lives together, it's a beautiful thing. To see the sons grown up with their own children, it's a beautiful thing. And I know I'm diving right into this, so I do apologize. Of course, hello if you don't know me, I'm Busy Braun. Obviously, we watched the entire video together. If you're watching this somewhere else, you can see my reaction on my channel. But of course, welcome, hello. I'm just kind of overwhelmed right now. I'm all over the place, but there was shades of a lot of different things here that kind of reminded me of other shows, whether it's other finales or just other shows in general. And I truly enjoyed that. I know we should probably go in order, but I don't think I can do that. We're gonna try though. We're gonna do it. We're gonna start off with the opening scene, which is continuing off of the last, of course, the last episode, but in kind of a new light. So obviously, Smallville is not a massive town, but obviously stuff is going down that we don't see. And to see John Henry and Lana going on a little date, obviously tying together their little story, because of course with this only being 10 episodes and characters not making the same amount of screen time that they would have had in previous seasons, it's really interesting how they've utilized characters in that sense, and they've done a really good job specifically in this season. Whether it's Lana having screen time with John or just Lana coming back for an episode with Sarah, but it's all made sense, and I think it's made a lot of those characters or side characters a lot more likable because their presence on screen needs to mean something. They need to do something important with them when they're on screen, even if it's for like 10 seconds at a time. And they've really taken their time and they've utilized these characters to a point where everything that they do again ends up meaning something, and it's pushed, whether it's their storyline somewhere or another character's storyline somewhere. And to see both John and Lana together and for them to kind of talk about their relationship and knowing that they're not maybe on the best terms. And obviously we know where it ends up, but in that moment it's not on the best terms. And then to see and to hear the roar of Doomsday again, I just think that the SFX there, fantastic. Like just to hear the roar, I mean, I feel like even if they amplified it a little more, it would have even brought even more chills than it already brought. But such a fantastic way to open up the episode to kind of bring in those characters without them just kind of diving in and being like, "Hey, we're here." So it was a really cool way and a really great way to bring them in. And so of course we see that little explosion that ended up bringing in John and Lana, kind of got them to the floor. John got hurt. Of course, he needed to go to his garage. And I am gonna say I am beyond excited that we got to see the iconic emblem on Steel and I believe Starlight's suit. Uh, so the thing is that it just means so much to me. It means so much to the character. At least that's the way I see it. Because and I think in the sense where what they did with John Henry's character and what they had him come from, the planet he came from, and what he had to go through was extremely messed up. It's brutal, it's dark, and it was such a cool little twist, on the on. I don't know. I just really appreciated it, and I thought once they first killed off Superman, I thought it would have been a fantastic way to bring in the suit with the emblem, because at that point John has already gotten accustomed to Superman, and he knows Superman is the guy. So it would have been really cool to see him, like the world still needs Superman, and for him to step up in the first 3 episodes doing that. But of course they didn't do that, and I was curious if they ever would. But to see that final shot with not only the boys suited up, but with Nat and John in the back with the emblem on, just meant so much to me. Like, I mean, just seeing the three of them would have been fantastic, but John and Nat have been such a good addition to this show. When I started the show, I just assumed I was going to enjoy the boys, Lois and Superman, and the side characters would have been cool. I never have beef with side characters, but it just, they usually don't steal the show from me. But anytime John and Nat were on the screen, like, honestly, I would have killed at the time when the show first came out for a spin-off. Just like maybe a limited series just showing the fall of their Earth. Seeing how John had to handle Superman and just doing the back and forth stuff. And obviously, we know how it ended, but it would have been just cool to see like the adventures or an animated film of of how Captain Luthor on their planet, or just there's so much there, and it just would have been so cool to see. But like their story was just so compelling; it always had me sucked to the screen, dude. It was so good. But to see kind of how they concluded it again, to see the emblem, to see the suits, it was still cool. Like they didn't need to have any dialogue with it. It was just such a blessing to see that. Same thing with the boys suited up. But again, the introduction to just seeing both Lana and John was a really cool way of bringing them in, leading to, of course, the fight with Doomsday and Superman, which again I didn't think, maybe it did last longer than I thought, but I'm gonna be so realistic with you guys. I looked at the episode and how far we were in halfway through it. I didn't realize we were 20 minutes, 25 minutes into the episode when everything kind of slowed down. Like I looked at once the fighting started. Like I don't want to say slow down because everything was so good, but I mean like when the action kind of stopped. So it had me so in tuned. I didn't realize 20 minutes went by, dude. So that, even though the Doomsday fight seemed very short, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I honestly need to go back and check. Everything that I'm saying right now is off the top of my head, legit 10 seconds after we watch the credits roll. So we're going into this again completely fresh, but to see the way that they handled Doomsday, and obviously I know some people are gonna question how Doomsday was, or Bizarro was able to get control and kind of decide in the final moments, hey, like I'm gonna do this, like push me, we're good. But realistically, they mentioned again like a minute prior to that scene that going to the sun strengthens Superman but weakens Bizarro. So for him to get closer to the sun would make sense on how Bizarro was able to kind of come out of the shell a little bit and make that decision, because he was in a point where he was weaker than he normally is. So again, such a cool moment, and I saw people making comparisons to the moment with the Flash when he kind of goes back in time to save his mom, and you see him just look in the closet at the other version of the Flash and like put his hand out like, hey, like don't intervene. And it kind of was very similar because you see Clark ready to scrap with Doomsday even more, and you just see him put up the hand, and in that moment you don't see a beast, you finally see the man he once was, which I think is such a beautiful way to send off, again, such a weird, complex character. Because Bizarro becoming Doomsday would have never been on my bucket list when I started the show, would have never been on the bingo list, I'm telling you. But the way they handled it was very interesting. But the way they closed it out is what takes the cake. So for them to close it out with Bizarro being able to make the final choice, and for him to be like, hey, like, this is what needs to happen. I am clearly not in control. Like, let me go. I'm okay with this. I want this. It's just so depressing. And on top of that, they have utilized, and again, this is a finale. So for them to utilize all of these kind of memories that we have had as viewers watching this show, by showing all of these insane moments, but in the sense where it's so impactful to what we're watching, is so good. Like the way that they had the flashbacks to Bizarro World and to see Bizarro's version of the Kent family was insane to see, and it was depressing, but it was so interesting, and it just made the moment so much more impactful, so much more depressing, and they did a really good job with that. Even when they were showing when the wedding happened. Again, we jumped a year later. I know I'm jumping the gun, but I think it was so important with the way Lois kind of started talking to John Henry. John is getting married. He has not been in this point since he married the Lois of his world. So to see him again, the single tear, bro's killing it. But the first thing that I'm noticing is the way that of course Lois is explaining everything, and then all of a sudden we get the flashbacks to not only his world but him dying and what they've gone through, and they were killing it with the highlights, man. Like the highlight reel had me almost crying. And again, I don't know why. My coping mechanism is giggling, laughing, because it's like I'm in disbelief that because realistically it's a show, but the fact that they can get me to feel what I'm feeling, I don't know what it is. It just gets me chuckling, gets me laughing, and even though we're in the sad sequences, I still get super like kind of giggly, and that's just how I am. But to see the final moments with Lois and Clark and just the way they handled that was such an insane situation, and I don't think I felt that way ever with the show. Like I was so ready for the tears to just coming out, like to come out. Like I was there, and I wasn't fighting nothing. It was just killing me to see the way that they were handling everything, man. I mean, to see them actually get old and whatever, like even Clark with the grayness was just so weird. I mean, it was so interesting to see, and as soon as they said, hey, like 32, like I got to live 32 years later, I'm like, bro, like are we actually gonna see this? And it kind of brings in mind uh some other finales that we've gotten in the past, such as Supernatural and Lucifer. Those are two that really come to mind. And I don't want to say too much, obviously, because a lot of you might have not actually seen those shows, but the ending gave off similar vibes with, you know, well, if you've seen the show, you know what I'm saying. So it's like just to see where the characters end up is just such a bold move. And it's just very interesting, but at the same time, it I don't want to say because I don't want to be the guy to be like, oh, there's a chance Tyler Hoechlin can return as Superman because there's always a chance. But realistically, to give the character a send off where we still have that 32-year gap where it's like, hey, what happened during that 32 years? Anything could have happened. So they still could do something with that if they wanted to. But at the same time, us as viewers got our closure. We got to see an ending that I feel like I wanted. You know what I'm saying? Because it just contains everything and it just makes me so happy to know. Again, I really wish, again, I know this is probably a weird thing to say, but I wish Lois died again of old age. Knowing that the cancer came back and that's how she passed, just just to know that they kind of like were just depressed and just so sad in their final moments really made me like it hurt me, man, especially coming from someone who's had a family member in that situation. It hurt, and to see the way like like just even Clark and the kids were reacting. It was just sad, but to know that Clark could have just outlived her, because of him being Kryptonian, even though he still has a human heart, would have been an interesting move. At least for me, I think it would have been even more impactful because it's like us as viewers would have just been happy that they got to have that long life together, even though it did end short. And like ultimately, we knew Superman was gonna outlive, so I would have been fine with that ending. But the whole cancer coming back thing, I kind of think it was unnecessary. Like that did not need to happen. It just hit me more than it should have. But again, I just think that that's a testament to their writing for them to hit me on that level, for them to get me that close to tears. I salute them. They have done a fantastic job for 4 seasons, and they have closed in a phenomenal way. And I have no complaints with the way that they ended the show. But I know there's more to talk about. There probably is. I do want to say again, I'm going live on my channel Tuesday 8 o'clock on the 3rd of December. The thing is, we're going to be talking with a couple other creators. On top of that, we're going to be talking with one of the actors, so it should be interesting. But I just want to say a big thank you to everyone that has been taking the time to watch these reactions and reviews. Again, if you want to see my reactions, you know where to go. Or if you're already here, hello. But if you want to see the full review, of course, TeamJVS, hello, welcome. We're all over the place, man. I'm posting it both places, but I just want to say a big thank you. Make sure you're subscribing to both channels. Make sure you're liking, make sure you're doing what you can. And if you want to see both more reactions and more reviews, make sure you let us know in the comment section. Mainly more reviews with just me or maybe other people. Just talk to me. Let me know that you want to see more of me, and I will deliver. I got you. But I just want to say a big thank you. You guys are fantastic, and I will see you soon. Peace out, everyone.